The reality of the situation is this. What we classify as the past is part of a circular feedback loop that develops upon its own action. What we call the future is a self-developing process that is based on the past. There is no present moment. The colors and sounds, the flavors and the smells, the gravity, the light, these things are in constant motion, which means time is a fundamental result of every measurable action that happens. Things are in constant motion, which means that if you know how they're moving in relation to their speed, how fast they're going, you don't know where they are. You know, if we're saying that they happened when, that means we don't know where. Because if you think about Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, the speed of something inherently implies that it's traveling through space. Therefore, it's not in the same place at a given time, because there has to be change for time. So, if you can't know where and when something is happening, all you can do is say that, well, the development happens and I think it goes this way. Really, because we have to acknowledge change because of things like blatantly obvious. And why is this change happening in a universe where things, are asymmetrical? All I know is that the point of this process is to be observed. And living entities are here to recreate, self-sustain, and observe. Intelligence is what separates living things that have an internal experience from other things living and non-living, that have no internal experience. When you kick a rock, the rock does not feel sad or feel shocked. Internal experience, and now intelligence has nothing to do with a person's capability to learn about stuff or whatever. Intelligence is just a level of awareness that's higher than those other things, like computers and shit. The human mind exists in a pseudo-physical way, much more solid, much more tangible than most people realize. The human mind has the ability to take energy, information, and transform it and turn it into different things. A good example of this is when you have the ceiling fan on right before you're going to bed, and as you fall asleep, it sounds like this. It's a song playing in the ceiling fan. Hypnagogia is what they call the state of, right before you fall asleep and you hear things or see things. So your mind is becoming tangible in this way. It's becoming more observable than your day-to-day thoughts. But really, that's how you work on a fundamental level. Your mind, subconscious, along with your brain and your eyes and your ears, take the available surrounding energy and form a picture of it. A video with sound, really. And, so this constant circle is happening, and it's infinite. And no matter where you are on it, you'll see that within that space there is a microcosm of, patterning that represents the circle on a whole. Any measurement of an arc of a circle is going to just be the new parameter for the next arc that you select if you zoom in. You take any arc of a circle, zoom in on it, and you'll eventually get the same arc. And this pattern repeats infinitely. So the future developing its sequence on the past, which then, because of causality, is now the step that the future bases its next move on. Therefore, it came after the first one. Therefore, in a sense, it was the future. The past becomes the future. And people see it as the future as a result of the past. And this sequencing is similar to that idea. We'll come back to that. People see the future as a constant flow of unknown that's funneled into physical laws that turn into events in life or manifestations of whatever. Some people have it backwards. Some people say, well, the past is over and done with. The present defines the future, defines the past. You know what I'm saying? It's a feedback loop. So it doesn't really matter, but the way to look at it is a combination of the unfolding of the future based on events in the past. Now, where do we fit in this? Because our spot is somewhere that can, on a level be considered able to look in at the smallest life available and able to look out at the biggest life available, which, we have maps of the entire universe and stuff. And we have the understanding that we can only see so far based on the laws of physics. So that's our limit as far as away from us goes, So it's about the scale of things. Where do we fit in with this circular time flow? Well, that's a trick question. Because we're not on the circle, we're in the circle. The circle is unbreakable. All we do is observe it. All we do is witness it, influence it. But sacred geometry, back in the Greek days, they would make these tiles, and the roads and the sidewalks would be made out of angles and shapes that represented things, and the temples were made to reflect certain experiences. And the reason geometry is sacred is because when you have a mystical experience, you often see what I call the clockwork behind the veil. You see these geometries, these grids, and like pinwheels and symmetrical things made out of shapes. You know what I mean? It's all shapes and shit. But they're like toroidal hypercubes and like fifth dimensional shapes sometimes. And when you think about the purpose of all this, you have to realize that we are the reason the universe exists. To be observed brings quantum potential infinity soup into a physical, stable world. How is this world stable if the nature of everything is fluctuation? Well, because it's being observed. We are the witness that causes the tree to make a sound when it falls in the forest.